All right, so you've seen some videos that I've posted in the past. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, maybe you're new to the channel or whatever. This is kind of a new thing for me, but I figured I'd share a lot of the stuff that I've been doing, covering cars, especially the old cars, vintage cars. I'm over here at my buddy Steve Faist's shop, also known as Jim Johnston's collection of Jim's Buggies. Today we're gonna show you some pretty interesting cars, eclectic out of the collection that are gonna be leaving to its new owner soon. So check them out and let me know what you think. So tell me about this car, dude.
It's another car, part of my grandpa's collection. Jim Johnston.
Jim Johnston.
Jim Johnston, yeah. He's from Oxnard originally. Can't say enough about the guy. He's done a lot of stuff, man. Yeah, had quite a bit of a car collection, you know.
Did you get that from him?
You know, I think I got it more so from just, you know, the people I was around. You know, I grew up in it with my dad. I got most of the car stuff probably from my dad, Dave Faist, and then I got, you know, I took off from there. I met my friend Frankie Sines, who I've mentioned numerous times before. He kind of took me over to the next level of it. Just, you know, being around him, watching him, and meeting all the people I got to meet through him, and still do to this day.
This is one of the cars in your grandpa's collection, right? Or was this?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this was one of his cars in his collection. He got this thing a long time ago. I can't even remember how long ago it was. It was at least 35 or more years ago. It could have been 40 years ago, the more I think about it. Yeah, here 1984 on the tags.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, so
Wow.
way over 40 years ago for sure.
What does BBFC stand for?
You can use your imagination on that one. Big black car. And that's the truth. And what's funny is my grandparents didn't tell me that for a long time.
Really?
Then I figured it out, and I go, I know. And they just laughed.
Wow. So tell me about this car. Like, what's the deal with it? And this car is going bye-bye, right? Like you.
Yeah. So I sold it to a gentleman. Approached me about one car, and then I started showing him some other cars. And younger kid, which is kind of nice, knows a little bit about cars, but he wants to learn more. He's hungry, he's a hustler, he works his tail off, and so he's like, yeah, I want to get in some cars. But he came to me for one car, and by the time it was all said and done, he ended up buying 5 from me. It's cool to see somebody young, some young blood get into this stuff. You know, the new kids like all the tuner cars and all of that.
Yeah.
I know they like these cars, but it's just,
They probably just don't know anything about
they
them.
don't know enough about them, and it's just, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to say. You know, I don't know what's going through their minds.
So explain this car. What's a 57, right?
Yeah, 57 Lincoln, and I don't know a ton about these cars. I really don't. Without looking into the files, which I probably need to, I don't know where he got it, but I just know he had it for a long time because he had another shop before he built this building, and I remember this car being in the other shop across the way. It's a cool factor car, you know, it's got all the creature comforts, you know, air conditioning, and it's got, you know, power windows and power seat, and I can imagine this thing's kind of a cruiser. My grandpa bought the thing, I'm sure it was a running, driving car, and then he just parked it, and it just set from then till the time he passed.
So you just kind of got the car all cleaned up and, you know,
yeah,
ready to go to its new home,
yeah, the thing's
basically?
been sitting with the cover on it for pretty much ever. And so I just got it out and started cleaning on it. It's a big black effing car to buff. Yeah, you're looking at, it's all original colors on it.
Wow.
So you could tell when they repainted this car, they stripped it to metal, because anywhere where there's a paint chip, there's no paint underneath it. It's all goes, you're seeing right through the brown oxide primer straight to the metal. So whoever did this back in the day, you know, spent some time on doing this thing. So it's a shame that the paint's not as good as it was, but it still presents decent.
And then the interior and all that stuff, that's pretty original, I would imagine?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Wow, this thing's pretty luxury. These were like the fancy cars back in the day.
Oh,
right?
yeah. This is a luxury car right here.
Carpet looks brand new.
Yeah, it's not too bad. There's a couple of wear signs in it and stuff. And, you know, right now you can see we're working on the power seat. It was working great until I pulled it out to clean underneath it, and I put it back in. Now all of a sudden it's only working one direction, so we'll get that figured out. And what's cool about the car is so far all the electrical works on the thing. Usually when these things set, this amount of time, the windows get slow and the contacts get corrosion in them and they don't like to work. But this thing, all the windows and all the dome lights inside, everything works. The seat worked perfect until I took it out. So, but now that I've gotten it out and gotten it in the shop and actually put my hands on it, I wish I would have did it a long time ago so I could have actually got it going and drove it. And
this would have been a cool car to cruise around Ventura with.
Yeah, my kid would have absolutely been going crazy if I could have went and picked him up from school in it. But you never know, I might still be able to do it because I think the guy who's buying it will stay in contact, and I got a feeling I'll be ending up helping him a little bit on some stuff. So
yeah.
Chances are I'll be driving this car at some point one day just to go test it or do something.
Yeah, so. Dude. Man, look at that trunk. That is wild.
Yeah, you can put a few people in there if you wanted to go to the drive-in car, the movies or whatever, you know.
I would imagine in the 50s and 60s
or a car
there might have been a couple bodies in the back of some of these.
Might have been, man.
I mean, I'm not saying this is a mafioso car.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, hopefully they cleaned it really good with some bleach, but then it would have dyed the carpet, so I guess they couldn't do that.
Why are you selling a cool car like this? Well, why would anybody sell this car, you know?
Too many cars. This whole car thing is bigger than I am at this point. I've created a monster. I had well over 100 cars, probably close to 130. It's too much for one person to do, and unfortunately there's really, you know, I'm not saying there's nobody out there that can work on cars, but most people seems nowadays like they're specific to certain things and certain cars, certain aspects of working on mechanical, and unfortunately it's really tough to get a guy that is multi-versatile, that can, you know, an electrical issue and then work on a mechanical issue and then work on maybe a body panel fit and finish. So it's tough. You almost have to have multiple people in for multiple stages, and that's what I don't want to have a full crew of guys. So it's easier for me to sell a bunch of these off and then just go back to what I did before, and that's just work doing everything myself with the exception of the help of a couple of people help me out, do stuff. Plus, I'm getting older and I don't want to have all this stuff sitting around. I'd rather go to people that will like buy it and show all their friends and get it running and, you know, be super stoked on it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a shame that the cars like this don't see the light of day, you know, so it's better that they just get out there.
No, I know. It's a good majority of all my cars is, you know, they don't get appreciated other than myself and my friends, which is great. But rather than sitting in here, not getting seen and appreciated all the time, I'd rather see somebody out there driving these cars. And even if they're getting chips in them and they're getting used up and the mileage is stacking on them, they're getting used, they're getting seen, they're putting smiles on people's faces, and that's more than they're doing sitting in the shop.
Do you know what motor came in these things?
Great question. That was the wrong thing to ask me on the camera.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that probably knows these things. V8, obviously, right?
Yep. Yeah. I don't know what size motors these things are. In the 50s, it's like, I don't know.
Do you feel like with this car leaving, like I know it's helping you clear out some of the clutter and get some space in it. Is this kind of like bittersweet because it's such a cool car? Is it something that you'd want to keep if you could?
All of them are bittersweet when they go, but it's still a good feeling when they go because it's clearing my mind up, you know, as much as it is clearing the shop up. So yeah, it's some of the stuff I'm like, man, I just wish I would have had the time to put the effort into them, you know, to do it for myself. But when you have cars, it's like anything in life. No matter what you do in life, whatever you do for a living, you're the last person that you do that for. Realizing as I get older, I get more happiness out of helping friends out with their cars, you know, and putting a smile on their face. So it's almost, you do it more for peace of mind, seeing people, you know, get smiles on their face, and then they get to cruise their friends around and show their cars off to their friends. And, you know,
that is pretty
thumbs
cool.
up. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's nice to know when you sell something too that somebody's enjoying it.
Yep.
You know, like the way it was meant to be.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%.
Cool.
Well,
I know you got a bunch of cars leaving, but
yeah, we got all kinds of stuff going on in here. Got an old Chevy truck. Got an old Nova wagon that I'm doing for a friend of mine, Josh.
I like this one because of the roof, especially.
Oh yeah, yeah. Matt Egan out of Australia. He does he's been doing some really cool paint work for me, and he does it for a lot of people. Extremely talented guy,
so
and a super cool dude to work with on top of that.
That's cool. Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
The 1916 Dodge touring car. So another one of my grandpa's cars that I don't know exactly, I don't have dates when he bought it, but he's had this one for quite some time, and it didn't look too good a couple weeks ago. It was an absolute mess. So I got it out, and my friend Josh and I and my kid, we cleaned it all up and got it all dialed in, and so the guy who bought the Continental is purchasing this, and amongst some other cars as well. Motor turns free and everything's good on it, so I don't think it'll be too hard. I think, you could have this thing running and driving. It's mechanical brakes and stuff, so you don't have to worry about going through the brakes on it. It's basically just fix the fuel and put a battery in it, and hopefully it has spark and the thing can run, and you could drive this thing around. These things are just such a cool factor to look at, I mean, some people would walk right by it, me being one of them, but when you work on them for a little bit, you start to kind of get a new appreciation for this stuff. I've never really been into these things, any of the old, I can appreciate all the brass and the wooden wheel era of cars.
And I know this thing is really cool, and it's got wood floors too, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, kids, cars have wood floors.
Yeah, they actually have wood structure in the doors and the body and all that stuff.
Is the frame wood?
No.
Okay.
No, the frame's steel, but everything else is, all your body structure is all wood.
This was in the W.C. Fields movie?
This was a movie car. It's like as long as I can remember, my grandmother and grandfather, there's a sign, and it's an old sign that came with the car. It was used on a movie called W.C. Fields and Me, which isn't a really old movie from what I gather.
I think it was like in '78 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, but it was used in that movie. That's the supposed story of the thing, and I'm sure my grandparents, they wouldn't say it was something that it wasn't. So everything my grandpa got was unique and eclectic. He didn't buy a run-of-the-mill type of car, kind of like what I do. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the, hey, I'm gonna go buy a Ford Mustang or a Chevy Camaro or, some type of a Mopar of some sort, everything with him was just, he just liked different stuff, something that you didn't see. And that's pretty much his whole collection. 57 Lincoln over there, that's probably one of the more normal cars of his collection, other than, I think that's probably one of his more normal cars out of all of them. Everything was pretty eclectic. It was, if they weren't one-off, they were one of a limited amount, or something that you just didn't see, hard to come by, something you just didn't say, hey, I'm gonna look in the, Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever. That was Grandpa.
That's cool. Your grandpa definitely had a crazy collection after just seeing what he has here.
Yeah.
But now most of that collection's sold off now. And
good majority of the larger cars have been sold off. And then he had a huge collection of micro cars, which I'm gonna keep probably maybe 2 or 3 of those as well. And he had a collection of about 65 cars total. My kid wants some, so I gotta keep some for him. And luckily they're kind of cars that him and I both like. And I've sold a lot of cars that he's kicked and screamed the whole way, as I told him I was selling them, especially after I get them clean and he sits in them and pretends like he's driving them. It creates a lot of problems between him and I sometimes, because he thinks that he should be able to keep whatever one he wants, but he's not the one working. He helps, but he's not the one dealing with this on day-to-day basis.
We'll see what happens when we can start turning wrenches.
I told him, I go, wait till you get up there in age and you start having to jockey all these cars around on a pretty regular basis. You'll think twice. You want to sell them all at that point. You won't want any of them.
And he's starting way early. So.
Yeah, serious. Yeah, so he'll burn out quicker, more than likely. Either that, or he won't be as dumb as his old man, and he'll figure out ways to maybe have other people work on them, and he'll go out and enjoy them rather than be a slave to them.
It's like if you could learn one thing, enjoy the cars more than collecting them.
True story. True story.
That's cool.
Yeah.